Did you find yourself in the medieval gown and muddied shoes of a 16 going on 10-year-old girl, home on a Friday night while your dad and stepmom slink off to fuck in a motel, left to watch your colicky infant brother, who you inevitably wished to disappear? Was that wish unexpectedly granted by the Goblin King to whom you fantastically implored? With David Bowie's prominently displayed junk and tights, and an army of goblins absconding with your baby bro to a castle in the center of a winding maze filled with booby traps and a dazzling array of Muppets that you'll have to traverse if you ever hope to see dear Toby again? If so, you found yourself in the Unkind Rewind, where you just watched Labyrinth.
Get to the chopper!
You know what you are? You're one of those little fancy lads, aren't you?
Link and I are cruising the mountain, bro. We figure we some little juice.
Welcome to the show, one and all. I'm Josh Dugan, and as always, I'm joined by my Munch My Benson co-host, fresh from his latest trip to the grocery store, where we can only assume he mesmerizingly handled a fistful of New Mexico-grown green chilies like they were testicular crystal balls. Adam Schwitters, how goes it, Adam?
Wrong season, Josh. Now they're red chilies. So
Okay.
the green chilies are only in the fall. Yeah. So yes, I did fondle. I rubbed myself in extra hot red chili powder today. That's for sure. While I was watching this film.
Sure. Yeah. And like every other week, we're joined by the third head of this Cerberus live to tape from New York, Sean McGrath. How's it hanging, Sean?
Hey guys, I have not gotten kicked out of Whole Foods like Adam, but I would if I got some green chilies. It's just something that you just cannot get out here.
This week we've been graced by the presence of Kay from the Fuck My Work Life podcast, who was so kind as to let us mine and perhaps ruin her childhood for our pleasure. Kay, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get started on the film, Kay, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your show?
So my name is Kay. We've established that. And the Fuck My Work Life podcast is a podcast where we share people's stories from the workplace that usually involve shit.
They often do.
Not the intention.
No
but,
punches pulled here.
Just weird happenings, strange coworkers, unexpected porn, all kinds of stuff that just happen to you at work. So we like to kind of commiserate with everybody, since most people spend, the majority of their waking hours working. So just kind of a way to laugh at ourselves and each other.
None of the three of us spend our waking hours.
Well, you can all fuck off, okay? I hate all three of you.
I'm trying to do something about that. Adam and I have obviously been on the show a couple of times. Those appearances are in all of the show notes for any Munch My Benson episode. So should be very easy to find. The podcast is somewhat hard to search for on Apple because they don't let podcasts curse in their name. So there are asterisks replacing the U and the C in fuck. If you're searching the podcast out.
Hey, if you were to do it again, would you change the name knowing that?
We did not plan that very well. Hey, let's put fuck in the title of our podcast. But you know what? It speaks to who we are, so whatever.
Yeah,
Apple can suck it.
Yeah. It's sad that they're like half of podcast traffic. So
right. That's still where we get most of our listens. So people are finding us somehow. So that's good.
Yes, they are. So as we mentioned up top, this week we're watching Labyrinth. Now I didn't see this until I was in my 20s. Watched it with Jackie, my now wife. She was not then my wife. Adam, had you seen this before?
Yeah, I've seen it a few times. I'd seen it when I was much younger, but I think only once, and it didn't really stick with me. And then I saw it again later in my 20s. And so I'm familiar with it, but it wasn't like a childhood fave. I kind of liked it more as an adult than as a kid.
Right on. And for those who didn't listen to the mini episode, Sean, have you seen this before?
I have not, and it's one of those movies that when you say that, people react in abject horror, like their jaws drop, as if I was homeschooled or something, or I had like I was raised by Mennonites or something where I was just deprived of normal childhood. But yeah, this was one that just slipped by. It's not anything not a path that I chose, where it was like, hey, Labyrinth is on, I'm moving to the other room because I don't like goblins. It was just something, a coincidence that, this is a void for me.
Now we asked Kay a bunch of questions about her past with the movie, since this is chosen obviously because of our guest. Kay had not seen this since her childhood, and if you bear with me for 1 second, I'm going to go to the first question, where we asked her how she would have seen this movie.
Would this have been a family movie? Would this have been like drop you off with some friends or siblings? Or do you think there's
I
a
was
chance?
7, so it would have been with my parents.
Okay.
I don't think they would have been dropping me off at the movie theater.
So had you seen this with your parents, everyone got a shot of Bowie's Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, I'm sure my mom was into it. You know, like mom's like, we're gonna go see this movie.
Yeah, I've heard some things about this.
Yeah,
there's a lot in this movie for me.
Yeah. And my dad was a musician and really into music, so
Bowie's a selling point for him, I'm sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Watching this now, Kay, do you think that Bowie's bulge still would have given your mom enough to enjoy?
There's a lot of bulge. I think so. There's a lot of shots of like Hoggle just right in the bulge. Too.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So,
like at a really
presenting
opportune
it.
height. If Bowie were so inclined.
Right. Who knows what he did with those goblins?
It also feels like they probably cut around it a little bit. Like there were some scenes where I'm like, they might have, lost some close-ups in the editing.
It wasn't consistent. I'll say that.
I mean it could have got cold in there.
Yeah, varying degrees. It's in England. It can get cold.
You're in a big drafty soundstage at Pinewood or whatever. Yeah,
at Elstree, out in Borehamwood.
See, that sounds even colder, Josh.
Yeah, I know. Now, Kay, do you think the music would have helped endear the film to your father?
Rewatching it, maybe not so much. I mean, there's the one song that I will still always love, the Dance Magic Dance, but the rest of the music is shit.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, isn't it?
It's bad.
It's.
I mean, the Dance Magic Dance song is also shit, but it's fun shit.
Right.
And it takes a while to get to the good part. I didn't even know that it was the Dance Magic Dance song until a minute in or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's very ballady and
it doesn't open how you assume the song would open, knowing the chorus.
No, you could begin the song with Dance Magic Dance.
It'd be better that way for sure.
You could, but then you wouldn't have the slow build up to the raucous, climax.
David Bowie abusing goblins left and right.
And poor Toby Froud, bawling in multiple shots.
Yeah, we'll talk about Toby.
I gotta say, I feel like the goblins were better parents than the humans were. He seemed to like it there.
Sometimes there were definitely shots where you could see that he was bawling, and it was just the album or the studio cut of the song over everything. Of course, the baby crying in the song is actually David Bowie. They had a baby in the studio and they could not get the baby to cry for the life of them, and so he had to do the little gurgle or whatever.
There's a way to get babies to cry, Josh.
Yeah.
You got a guy, Sean?
Well, Adam can attest. I'm sure.
I think there's a union gaffer that knows how to do a good baby shake.
Key grip. Yeah.
Key grip. Ouch. Okay, let's move on to the next clip from the pre-interview where we asked you what your memory of the movie is.
It's hard to describe. It's kind of dark, right? but kind of ethereal and dreamlike. Like, do you want plot description?
Yeah,
or...
like I've never seen it. So if I was like, hey,
Sean
what's...
actually has not seen it.
I actually have not seen this. So what's Labyrinth about, Kay?
A young girl is annoyed with her baby brother, and she wishes him to go away, and then David Bowie shows up, and he's the Goblin King, and he takes the baby, and now she has to go through this labyrinth, and she has this time limit to make it through this labyrinth to get to him and her baby brother to get him back, or he'll be turned into a goblin.
So, Kay, are you surprised at all by how well you summed up the plot of the film, having not seen it in 20
a little bit, but
years?
I forgot about her obsession with the fantasy world and how the whole thing was kind of like her creation, basically, or whatever book she based. I forgot about that part. Like, I thought
it would be easy to forget that.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I mean, well, I thought I nailed it pretty good.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
especially
it's
for
like-
like a 2-sentence,
Yeah.
it's like if Dorothy was reading Wizard of Oz before the tornado hit or
Mhm.
whatever. She
It's
really
basically like
manifested.
if Kevin Arnold was like reading the book in Princess Bride instead of his grandfather.
Yeah.
Columbo.
Exactly.
Since we're just mixing. Were there any other plot elements other than the fantasy stuff that you'd kind of completely forgotten that surprised you this time around?
Not really surprised me.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if we want to get into my like thoughts about all the things just yet.
Don't worry. I'm sure we have that question coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go to clip number 3, where we're asking you, before having seen it, if you remembered liking it and if this is a good movie in your mind.
Do you remember liking this movie, Kay? Is this a good movie in your mind?
I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
this
why I
is-
picked it, because like I haven't seen it in a really long time,
Right.
and I remember loving it the first time I saw it, and then again, like as a teenager, I still really enjoyed it.
So there's a
But
little soft corner of your heart that is
Yeah.
home to Labyrinth. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Okay. So quality-wise, do you feel like your
Hmm.
memory matches with the film you just watched?
Quality wise, I mean, I think so, because I loved this movie for certain reasons, but I don't, even like as a kid, I don't think I loved it because I'm like, this movie is such a great cinematic movie. It was just,
Yeah.
it was a good movie for a kid. And I think that part holds up. Quality, I mean, it's an 80s movie.
Sure,
So-
sure.
And like we mentioned earlier, I remember the music being like awesome, and you listen to it and you're like, ooh, maybe not so much.
Did you
So there-
remember the troll pissing as Hoggle pissing as like
No.
the intro?
Yeah.
No,
He's a
that
dwarf.
did shock me.
Or dwarf,
like-
whatever.
Okay, this is like aimed at children, right? But there is David Bowie's package, so who knows?
Well, they did film a reverse shot of Hoggle urinating. They just didn't end up using it.
There's
Is it
also
weird that I
those.
want to see that?
There's that fountain. Oh, I want to also. There's also the weird fountain where faucets are dicks too.
How did I miss
There's a
that?
fountain in the middle of the. I can't remember where it is now, but there's a fountain where, like, at multiple
Are you sure
sides.
you were watching a different
Yeah.
movie, Josh?
There's a faucet. There's a faucet out where the.
Oh, you watched the Labyrinth on X Tube, didn't you?
yeah.
It's a common
It was on
mistake.
X Hamster actually. But,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Labyrinth.
Do you feel like this passed the test of time for you?
And like, was I ruined by it watching it again?
No,
Or,
no,
like,
no,
did it
not
hold
that.
up,
But yeah,
or-
like obviously it came out in '86. It's
Mhm.
what, almost 40 years later. Do you feel like its 40 years are showing badly?
I wouldn't say badly. I think it's showing its 40 years.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's definitely a product of its time. I don't think that this movie comes out today.
They don't make puppet movies anymore.
Everyone would be offended by it. You know, everyone would be pissed off. I don't think you could get away with it now. But
for multiple reasons.
Right. Goblin abuse, packages,
for sure.
You know.
Yeah. So our fourth question we're going back to is you were talking to what stuck with you from the film all these years later, not having seen it in the intervening years. So I'm going to go ahead and flip back over.
I still quote some of the songs.
Okay.
You know, like Dance Magic Dance.
Sure.
When my friend and I rocked out to that in the car, not that long ago.
Okay, right
6 months ago. So I think the music from it sticks with me a lot.
Sure.
And I think just the whole, I don't know, fantasy element of it, being a little kid and watching it, it's what Sarah was going through and creepily to get to this older man who she kind of has a thing for, but I was also hates. But as a kid or a teenager, I'm this is kind of cool. I don't know why I like this, but I do.
Are you going to be singing Magic Dance on your drive to work tomorrow?
I mean, probably. I've been singing it all day today. So.
Okay, right on. Adam, you've been singing it also?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, okay. Now, is this still the standout song to you, or did a different one tickle your fancy now as an adult?
No, I think this is still the standout song. The rest of them are, as we discussed, pretty shit. I forgot about the Eyes Wide Shut ball song too.
The
and
orgy
scene? That song's kind of been stuck in my head all day too. So even though it's not a great song and it's that kind of slow,
it's a lusty ballad.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of dig that song too, but not as much as the other one.
So how did Sarah's interest in Jareth, especially in that scene, play to you now?
It's fucking creepy. It's weird. Mm-hmm. It's really weird because she's a baby.
She's very young.
She's 14 IRL.
She is 14 IRL. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they really tarted her up. I mean, not
yeah.
They tried to make her look a lot older. They tried to make it look like that dance scene could have been, realistic.
Yeah.
She looked like those glamour shots, how they do in the 80s when they did the glamour shots with the hair.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're a 14 or 16-year-old girl in 1986, you're probably not even batting an eye about dancing with an older man the way that you would today, right? That is a romantic scene in most respects for that character. It's the beguiling, charm of the Goblin King. I mean,
you're not arguing. To be clear, you're not arguing that that's okay.
No, that's another podcast.
He's not an older man. He's a Goblin King,
he's
right?
Timeless.
So
this is very much Team Edward, 100-year-old vampire type of thing, but looks younger.
Yeah, what older men do you know dress like Tina
with.
Turner with a codpiece? I mean, it's like.
But how old was he? Because
38.
Yeah,
or 30, probably 37 during filming. He would have been 38 when it came out.
I'm sure it was the horrible makeup, but he looked very, very old.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was pretty creepy. And I feel like I remembered there being a kiss, and I was very happy there wasn't actually one. I was I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that.
Now, that said, it felt like he was pretty interested in her. How did his apparent interest in her play to you as an adult?
Fucking also very creepy. Very creepy. It's yeah, I don't know. I know they were getting the Bowie edge, but that age difference was just
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, not okay.
Yeah.
Another reason why this movie would not fly nowadays.
Oh no. Okay, so then the last clip that we'll throw back to, we're asking, what did you expect to get when you rewatched Labyrinth?
I'm a little frightened
Okay.
because I'm worried it's gonna be ruined. And
It's a risk.
that's
It's a risk
little
we're all
sad.
you're
It
taking
is.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I did do this with, I don't know if you guys will ever get around to Never Ending Story, but I did ruin that a couple years ago. So I'm hopeful that at least there will be parts of it that will still bring me joy. And I can see why I liked this. But I'm really hoping it's not just like, oh my fucking God, this is awful.
She's putting herself on the line here, Josh, for us.
Yeah.
She's
You're going to ruin my childhood.
We're going to get a bill.
Extra therapy this week.
Yeah. All right.
Free
$1,500.
extra therapy hours.
Oh, boy. All right.
Fuck. Okay, so did rewatching Labyrinth ruin it for you?
Actually, it did not.
Okay.
So I think
Well, there's a first time for everything on this show.
think because it definitely hit different, right? Not the same as I remembered. Lots of new thoughts watching it, but I think I for the most part knew what it was going into rewatching it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I referenced Neverending Story in the clip, I remember Neverending Story being a great fucking movie, and when I watched it again, I was like, "What is this shit?" And like I said earlier, I didn't feel like Labyrinth was like, this is a great movie. It was just a movie I loved.
Mm-hmm.
So I still got that nostalgia. The Muppets are cute, and I loved what's his name, Sir Didymus, or
Yeah, what's up with his name? Sir Didymus.
Sir Didymus. Like the characters were cute and Ludo, and there are elements that I still really loved, but the overall relationship thing was a lot
Yeah.
creepier than I remembered.
Oh, it's fucked. So we're not going to get a bill?
Not this week, no.
Okay, good. we will
Not
in
for this.
future episodes where we ruin other movies.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much sums up the following up on the pre-interview. I think we can throw to Sean on his
Uh-oh.
Interestingly named segment.
interestingly named segment on our sheet that we're sharing.
Okay. Well, okay.
I'm scared.
I just want to talk about little people actors for a while.
Okay.
And most people who know me know that this is just kind of a weekly thing that I do. Or I just want to talk
Talk about little people actors?
This is a podcast that he just puts out for himself. He records it. He actually doesn't edit it, so it's not out for the Gen Pop. But
so I would argue that the 80s were the best decade to be a little person actor. And the problem with cinema kind of taking them out of the costumes is that the roles reduced. They basically were replaced by CGI.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in the 80s, you had so many movies like from, Jedi and Time Bandits to, and those are situations where you had them like in costume. They didn't really have them in like a big old suit where you couldn't see their face, where they're actually playing, human species and not Ewoks. But you had Willow, you had Howard the Duck, you had Troll, you had the Garbage Pail Kids, for crying out loud. You had all these movies that were giving these, actors a space and a paycheck, and then they just replaced them all. I haven't read the think piece coming from these actors who've lost all this work to CGI. It's probably out there, but now I can think of two, right?
Well, it's Peter Dinklage winning awards left and right, but
Peter Dinklage, and then
still Warwick Davis.
I guess Warwick Davis. He's not going to really take on kind of anything dramatic where you'd see him at the Academy Awards or something like that. So you have one.
Oh well, and Vern Troyer. Oh, he's
rest
dead,
in peace. Rest in peace.
And then what's his fuck from Bad
the dude
Santa?
from Seinfeld, and who did a lot of stuff.
Not now, right? Not today.
But guys working today,
guys working today are kind of reduced to just Peter Dinklage, and then if we can't get Peter Dinklage, sadly, do we do the movie? because I
Seriously,
haven't seen his replacement coming up. And even in situations where Peter Dinklage is not even playing a little person, he's playing a giant in one of the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
But we know him through roles where he played himself.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, I mean, with respect to the Wizard of Oz, is the 80s the golden era for a little person actor?
I mean, it almost has to be, right?
Well, I mean, if you think about Willow is actually like a movie centering little people actors and like giving them, they're not making them trolls, right? They're the actual stars of the movie, and there's several of them that get like big roles in it. So yeah, maybe Willow is the high point of little acting.
I think if CGI is not where it is 20 years after this, then we have little people in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
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 100%.
Instead, you have
shrunk Sean Astin.
You have shrunk Sean Astin and Dominic and
but what I have to say,
racist.
Yeah.
What I have to say about this movie, watching it for me, is how good the practical effects look, how good the Muppets look. 30 years later compared to how bad CGI looks 6 months later. Like CGI looks like shit in after a year. And this looked like, obviously there's non-practical effects that look terrible, but like the stuff where it's like Muppets where they built the sets, I think it looks awesome.
I think we eventually get to a point where we have a love for the goblins. We know that they kind of have this, bumbling gremlin rowdiness, and like they can't quite do things like they can, get knocked over by, the slightest thing. It's like they're not fatal to be dealing with these goblins. But early on, terrifying. Like the first shot that we get of them, I'm watching in my dark apartment, I was like, holy shit, that would scare the hell out of me as a kid. When she
if they were in your house?
Well, no, when she begins the wish and we cut to this great shot of like a dozen of them.
Yeah.
And their eyes and the darkness, and like you're trying
the
to
texture
look
of their
at
skin,
all the different faces in this quick shot, and they're encouraging her to do this wish, this curse or whatever that she's gonna do. I don't know if I'm 6 years old and I'm watching this, if that doesn't mess me up going home. And then on top of it, when they're like lurking in Toby's bedroom, I think that's kind of terrifying too. Where they're peeking out and petering around doorways, coming up out of cribs and credenzas. Like that's child's play. That was like the first hour of Child's Play.
Those scenes are why I'm not going to show it to Max for a little while, because that'll scare the shit out of him right now.
I was curious if you did watch it with him, because this is one of the only movies that we're doing that you maybe could.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought about watching it. I was like, there are parts of it he would like. Like he would like Dance Magic Dance, but the scene with Toby's bedroom, he would freak him the hell out.
Kay,
and he'd think he's going to get stolen by goblins every night.
Oh yeah,
we didn't really talk about this with Kay.
Blow my spot.
But was there any fear to this when you first saw it? Or were you just all in right away? This is fun. Was there any part of you that sees this and takes it home with you and is nervous to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night or is checking under the bed?
No.
You didn't have nightmare flashbacks?
No, because I think they balanced it so well. Because even with that first scene you're talking about where they're all waiting for her to wish, there was the one goofy goblin that was like, did she say it? And it kind of broke up the creepiness a little bit.
That does help.
And I think the goblins kind of scurrying around the room, like that part was definitely creepy.
I don't think we ever see that dopey goblin again, though.
I don't think so.
He was probably killed for being weak.
Yeah, they ate him.
They ate him up. Yeah, he's gone.
They fed him to Toby, actually.
I wanted to know more about Toby's transformation. I thought that would have been awesome to again, this is wishful thinking, but if we got some kind of American Werewolf in London thing where at the 13th hour, Toby's beginning his transformation into a goblin baby. And
or like Ghostbusters 2, when they have
into the
whole
painting
ceremony. Yeah.
where Vigo
was-
is taking over. Toby looked a lot like the Ghostbusters.
I know. I was just thinking that. Is
Oh.
that the same kid? I was like, no, it came out much later.
Babies
I was
do
wondering
age.
why Jareth wanted more of those goblins around because he seemed very annoyed by all of them. Just more,
Oh, yeah.
more goblins to abuse. Just one more
Yeah,
goblin.
more to kick around.
Right.
Yeah, like what is
There's a lot of goblin abuse.
There is.
And chickens. Did you see how
Yep.
everybody was abusing chickens throughout
Mhm.
this movie? Could not get that one past the censors nowadays.
Mm-mm. PETA
So
would be
he's
all over it.
recruiting. He's stealing children to make goblins.
Mhm.
So presumably all of the people in this labyrinth, in his lair, are stolen, kidnapped children.
I mean, that's one
think
way to
that's what
read
we're
it.
meant to-
Insane.
I don't
Yeah.
think that's. I don't. We don't know the physics of the Goblin
No.
City. Okay, so
We haven't seen milk cartons
Yeah.
with these other kids, but also like when the curse is broken, these goblins don't change back. So maybe
Yeah.
that there's a set amount of goblins. They need more for whatever reason. I don't know.
To
Orphan-
They just
replace
have
the
a
one
regular
that-
economy. You
That
know.
wasn't hard enough.
Yeah. They killed the one that killed and ate the weak one, that Kay said.
Yeah.
So they needed to replace him with young, hard Toby. And yeah, I do think it's impossible to shrug off the trauma that baby suffered. I mean, yes, we cut around, we see him laughing, but we know that was probably a terrible shoot for that kid. There was probably a lot of downtime. I was surprised he wasn't a twin.
He wasn't afraid of the goblins, though.
He's still crying around him. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's just crying because he's crying, though.
I guess.
Josh, did you look into kid work laws in the UK? Do they have different rules there?
They must. I didn't
Yeah.
look into that.
Okay, can I
Especially,
ask
I didn't look into child labor laws on film sets in 1984.
I want to ask a
The UK.
quick question of Kay too. Like,
Mm.
did you sympathize at all with Sarah? Because I'm watching this girl, and she has to babysit like a night, like
Right.
about 5 hours, and it's the end of the world for her.
Right.
And I guess, I don't know what type of odd jobs you had as a teenage girl, but is this the end of the world for a teenage girl? She doesn't she's not ditching a bunch of cool friends.
Right.
She's with her shaggy dog in the rain,
By herself, LARPing
Reading-
or whatever
Yeah, she's
doing.
LARPing alone.
hard LARPing, basically doing like faux Shakespeare with no accent.
Mhm.
And she's got to
Can't
run
remember
home.
the easiest fucking line ever. I'm like, I remembered this 30 years later. How can't you remember this one line? I think she's a little over dramatic, and I was like, oh my god, girl, calm down. But also, she's a teenage girl and full of fucking hormones, and I was a raging bitch when I was a teenager. So I feel like there's a little bit of that happening. It's that hormone thing. But yeah, it's
Mm.
very.
This
she just
is-
has to babysit
This
one
is some
night.
door slamming. I hate you. Fuck you,
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah.
And I got to point out the style of her stepmom. That was on
Mm.
point. That like 6 foot long shoulder pads
Mhm.
running
It's
end to end.
amazing. And her parents had that like weird mid-Atlantic accent, like, now Sarah, you're gonna have to babysit tonight. I'm like, why are they talking like that?
They might have been British. I think they actually probably were.
Oh, and they're faking the American accent.
I think
Mm.
there was a lot of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And that
That makes sense.
ADR, oh my God, that ADR was thick on this movie. I actually don't know if they've recorded anything live in this movie or if it was all like there was too many puppeteer fucking around. Like we've
Yeah.
ruined the entire audio for this movie.
It's like
It's
shooting
all-
on a set in Italy where
Yeah.
the crew is just talking through the whole fucking shoot.
It's all like the warping of latex and weird springs. So we're gonna have everybody come back in 3 months and just run through this thing again because that, yeah, I could not detect any live audio being recorded in this.
Now, in Sarah's defense, it definitely seemed to me like her stepmom tried to make it sound like they never went out, but she said,
mhm.
you guys go out every week, which then makes it seem like this movie has like this really very specific target demographic it's going after. And that target demo is teenage children of divorce whose dads have remarried and who then have to raise the half sibling that their new stepmom doesn't want to fucking raise.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I think this is a good decade for that. I think there was a lot of that.
Yeah, it was popular then. Everybody was
Divorce
It
branching
was
out.
so
was in
hot then.
vogue.
Yeah, it was super hot in the 80s.
Post women's lib,
Yeah.
like the you know, institution of marriage had completely eroded. Everybody had a step something going into the 80s.
It's crazy how little the parents are in this. How much of an afterthought they are.
Yeah, nobody wants
Yeah.
to see them.
Yeah. Like that would
They
be
don't
boring.
Dad doesn't remotely look like Jennifer Connelly.
No.
No.
Does she even have? Does she have a second scene with him? Is it
No.
just her passing him on the stairs?
He like
Going
calls
up to
up
her
to her
room?
on the stairs and she runs down. Or she runs up, I guess.
They don't
Yeah, but
come
is that-
back from they just call up at the end of
Yeah.
their date.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I love
And
that too. Are you home?
What
Like,
the
where the
where-
fuck would she be?
I know. I wrote that down. I was like, how in the world would that be a question? As if there's like, no, she bailed to go play with
Yeah.
her dog in the fucking park.
In the middle of the night. Yeah.
I think for me, like, is this a source material that everybody knows? Was this a book?
No.
No.
It's,
Okay.
Yeah.
They
We
really expect us to like just everybody just buys in on
Yes.
Goblin lore.
Yes.
Mhm.
But that
Mhm.
was like it was kind of a thing in those days. Princess Bride kind of did the same thing where they like get you into this fantasy world with the book end of reading a book, and it's not lore that anybody knows, you know.
Well, this was shot before Princess Bride, right?
This was. I just think with
But
Princess Bride,
same
only by a
era.
year. But yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like for Princess Bride, you have so much better of a run up
Oh yeah.
to when you get into the story than when
Mhm.
like we're in this say the word wish phase by like the 8th minute of this
Mhm.
movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's
And
no
she's-
going back to the source material. There's none of the sort of like cagey, like smart screenwriting that's going on.
Yeah, it felt
right?
like the third installment of a Harry Potter movie where
Mhm.
like we kind of know the world and we know how to kind of get in and out of it.
Speaking of which, does
Yeah, she
J.K.
fucking
Rowling
stole-
pay the estate of Jim Henson for this? Because she
Right?
fucking should.
Yeah,
Well,
let's
and
just-
Troll. Harry Potter is the main kid character in the movie Troll.
Really?
So she is just stealing from 80s movies.
Interesting.
And then,
Was that-
spending her free time being a fucking turf.
So
Fuck you,
I-
J.K. Rowling.
So
Yeah. She sucks
this
ass.
movie is new to me and Harry Potter is very new to me. If we get to that, that'll be a void. So was this like a fatal drinking game if something came up that was stolen by J.K. Rowling? Like other than
No.
I picked up like she mentions I can't did she
They-
call him Hogwarts?
Hogwarts. Yeah.
She calls him Hogwarts repeatedly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So does,
Funny that
so
that
does-
just happens to be the primary
Bowie.
setting for her fucking series that
Right.
made her what, like $300 million plus.
she sucks. Should we jump into your segment?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I just blacked out for a second and was wondering, did we skip me? But yeah, so obviously David Bowie is most well known for his music career, and he also had an illustrious film catalog as well. He's been in some great fucking movies.
Mhm.
But
You actually see his dork in The Man Who Fell to Earth.
you do, yeah. He's an alien in that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a
If
really
you
good movie.
feel
Is
like
it
you need to flesh that out, take
Is it-
away the imagination.
What was the
and-
name of that again?
The
The
Man,
Man
Who
Who
Fell
Fell
to
to
Earth.
Earth.
Yeah.
It's a very artsy. It's a alien who is
Yeah.
wandering around Earth for the first
But he
time.
has human genitalia.
Mhm.
Oh, big
They
time.
didn't like add frills to it or anything.
No.
Oh, that's too bad. It's a missed opportunity right there.
Yeah.
But what you might not realize, guys, is that David Bowie also had a limited career in video games and television, and I want to explore them because almost everything in it was pretty weird. So in TV, he was in one episode of Extras, and also in an episode of SpongeBob. Those are great stuff.
Great
Um,
episode of Extras.
Yes.
Yeah. He was also in Twin Peaks: The Return, but that was entirely archival footage from Fire Walk with Me. His character was almost entirely portrayed by a talking tea kettle in The Return. Not that weird on the scale of that show, but what? Yeah, he's in an episode of SpongeBob. Sorry, I gotta go back to work here. That's why I was going to close the door. But what you might not realize is the other movie, the other shows he was in are kind of weird. So in 1991, he was in a single episode of the early HBO comedy series called Dream On. Do any of you guys remember this?
Oh,
of course.
Starring Brian Benben as a divorced New York City dad trying to resurrect his love life. I did not remember that, but it was on for 6 seasons. So
Dream On was a great gateway to nudity on premium cable.
Nice.
Because
Yeah.
it was
Also-
it was a Trojan horse as a comedy show.
Yeah.
It was laying the pipe for Game of Thrones, basically.
Big time. It also was
Put.
They repackaged it for syndication and like had it on in syndication on like Fox with like
like bars?
clean edits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like more of an early Californication
Yeah.
than
Okay,
Game of Thrones.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, then there's a theme definitely to some of his work. So the next thing he was in 1993. He was in a single episode of a British show called Full Stretch about a limo rental service. Only lasted for 1 season, so you probably haven't heard of it. Its lead was Kevin McNally, who maybe you've heard of. I'm vaguely familiar with that name, but it was written by guys that I'm very familiar with, Dick Clement and Ian Lafrane, who are both writers from Lovejoy, my favorite show of all time. So it's probably awesome, but it got canceled. Now, the thing he's mostly been in, like the bulk of his TV time, was season 2 of The Hunger, a premium Canadian cable show, which seems something like the Red Shoe Diaries mixed with Interview with a Vampire. Each week there was kind of like a monster of the week, basically. Okay. And it was a different story focusing on, quote, themes of self-destructive desire and obsession with a strong component of softcore erotica. So popular tropes include cannibalism, vampires, sex, and poison. He was the host for the entirety of season 2 and starred in one of the stories that happened to be directed by Tony Scott, who directed the 1983 The Hunger.
Yeah.
And also
that movie's fucking great.
Top Gun and stuff. Yeah, really great movie.
Bowie is in The Hunger, right? The movie?
I don't think he's in The Hunger.
No, he's in The Hunger.
He is?
Yeah. He Deneuve,
Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon.
Yeah, it's definitely Bowie. He's
That's right.
Too
he's
sexy
one of the
to
vampires.
not be in a movie called The Hunger.
Yeah.
That has.
But he is the series David Duchovny.
Yeah, basically for season 2, not for season 1. Somebody else in season 1. Now, he was clearly like interested in new media and trying to like tell stories in different ways and was like willing to be game for things. And so in 1999, he signed on as one of the lead voice actors in a video game called Omicron: The Nomad Soul. Has anybody heard of this or played this game?
It's about COVID.
Well, people clipped it.
It's about the transformer that gave people COVID.
Okay. Apparently, it was like fairly well received. I never heard of it, obviously, but it's born from the mind of David Cage, who had up to that point been a French composer. Now he wrote a 200-page script for this thing that he thought was going to be a movie, and he was like laughed out of every office he went into, saying it was impossible to make this. So he made like a video game development studio, and it's like an open world adventure like set in a dark future. You take over bodies of people that you kill, or you can just kind of wander around and do whatever. Now, apparently the mechanics were pretty shitty, like the combat mechanics, but it looks like a pretty fun journey into the dark side. Now, it gave me very heavy vibes from Murder, She Wrote, when Jessica Fletcher solved a crime in virtual reality in the was that season 10 classic, A Virtual Murder.
He always goes here.
Anyways, I want to play this game now because I want to hear David Bowie tell me what I'm doing, and I can talk to him. Anyways, I thought that was interesting because his choices in the rest of his career, I get 100%, but his choices in smaller screens are a little strange.
There definitely seems to be a theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so
Dark
often
erotica.
it's so
Mhm.
difficult for David Bowie to show up in anything and people not go, holy shit, it's David Bowie.
Mhm.
Like he's not one of these actors who's just gonna like Gary Oldman himself into a role
Yeah.
Sure.
and disappear.
Absolutely.
I mean, like obviously Zoolander, he is
David Bowie.
preeminently himself. But like, yeah, if I was to see him in almost anything playing,
Andy
I
Warhol.
assume I would just not remember if it was like a character name. Like Jareth did not come to mind until you guys mentioned it earlier. But
Oh, yeah.
like he's David Bowie. Like that's just
Yeah.
the
He's
character.
the
We're
Goblin
watching
King,
Bowie
David
Bowie.
Bowie.
Yeah.
The Goblin King, David Bowie. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Put some respect on his name.
Yeah, that's
Now-
absolutely true. Though, ironically, apparently he could wander around New York and not be noticed. He just would he'd wear a baseball cap and nobody noticed it was David Bowie.
Well, and
That's
I
why
would
he
assume
was-
he'd dress like a normal when he wanted to
Yeah.
not be noticed.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, he really? He
doesn't-
wasn't
Yeah.
wearing like a
He doesn't
feather
have the
sweater?
goth-
With,
yeah.
But he had a Yankee hat on, Adam, so nobody
Yeah.
bothered him.
Exactly.
So diving into the background here, relatively briefly, this was obviously directed by Jim Henson, who created all the puppets for Sesame Street, and who, along with frequent collaborator Frank Oz, went on to create The Muppet Show, Fraggle Rock, Muppet Babies, The Storyteller, and The Jim Henson Hour, along with being instrumental in the physical creation of Yoda for George Lucas. After working together for the first time on 1982's all-puppet fantasy film Dark Crystal, Jim Henson and English fantasy illustrator Brian Froud started developing their next film project the following year in 1983, with Froud seeding the story with the image of a baby amid a gaggle of goblins. Froud, who served as Labyrinth's conceptual designer, served up his own baby, Toby, to be the child taken by the Goblin King. His mom was also involved in the film. Henson and Froud had children's author Dennis Lee pen a novella from which they intended to base the film's script, with the novella needing to be submitted by the end of 1983. But when Monty Python alum Terry Jones was brought on to write the script, Jones didn't connect with Lee's novella at all and opted instead to use Froud's conceptual art, later published in a companion book, as his inspiration. The film would also draw inspiration from The Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, Grimm's Fairy Tales, the works of Maurice Sendak and M.C. Escher, which is on display, obviously, in kind of the climactic scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say like that was fucking awesome.
That
That
yeah,
seems
that
awesome.
set was fucking incredible.
How they
Yeah.
did that with
Uh-huh.
that baby, and what a fucking awesome thing when he's walking underneath that platform and does that
Mm.
full
Yeah.
80 spin up. Like,
You know that Toby actually died, right?
yeah, there were triplets on set. But I mean, that was such an interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you know that like sans computers around that era, that it's really hard to have pulled that off.
Oh yeah.
And for it to look kind of impressive in 2023,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, holy shit! Like that's a kind of lean up off the couch moment when
Yeah.
watching this for the first time.
And that's also the magic of practical effects versus
Yeah, I imagine in seeing that, if I
Mhm.
had seen that scene in '86, I mean, that scene might have won me over, like right then and there.
right.
With like my gripes about the movie and like Labyrinth being like some Bible that we should all know,
Right.
I would have been like, holy shit, MC Escher chase scene with a baby and David Bowie, like
It's amazing.
all
Yeah.
on board for that.
Now, they had the initial idea for Jareth to be a puppet, but they abandoned that, at which point Henson targeted David Bowie to play as Goblin King, courting him for a year and a half before getting him to sign on. Terry Jones's vision and Jim Henson's did not line up, with Jones feeling like this really isn't his film, which would have been much more centrally revolving around a more overtly villainous Jareth, who would have manipulated everyone and used the labyrinth to keep people from getting to his heart. Bowie getting cast pushed Henson and company to want him to perform songs throughout the film, which was also something Jones didn't particularly want. With at least 25 treatments and scripts being drafted between 1983 and 1985, the shooting script had uncredited contributions from Henson, Laura Phillips, executive producer George Lucas, and Elaine May, with Elaine May coming in to punch up the script. And she turned in the final draft of the film just like a week before they went into production.
How much of Elaine May is in this?
Well, she did a punch up because Bowie was considering pulling out of the film on account of there being too little humor.
Wow. Well, yeah, Elaine May is good for that. I'm sure that she took the hit for why this movie didn't do well.
Josh, your rundown doesn't make Terry Jones look very good, I gotta say.
Terry Jones, the most Britishly named Brit of all time.
Yeah, he may not look that good. I don't know. I watched the making of documentary also. He was more on board with that. I think, in the years that have passed, he probably felt less of a reason to bite his tongue. Now,
this movie's also very anti-fairy, I should point out too.
Oh, big time!
It does not get enough recognition for being one of the very first anti-fairy movies.
Yeah, and it also doesn't go high fae like it would now, where it's all fairy orgies, because that's totally a fucking thing. Yep. Read those ACOTAR books, kids.
In what respects?
No, it's a Court of Thorns and Roses is this like fucking book series that's like all over Book Talk.
Oh, okay. You should specify that because I thought you were just talking about the Twin Cities.
No. Yeah, it is here too. It's catching on like wildfire. So a then 14-year-old Jennifer Connelly beat out a slew of 80s teen actresses. If I read off the full list, it'd be pretty nuts. But the top candidates that she is said to have beaten out are Jane Krakowski, Ali Sheedy, and Maddie Corman. I know Marissa Tomei and Sarah Jessica Parker were others that had been auditioning for the part.
Jareth, I gotta get my brother back before the clock hits 13.
Gates McFadden was going to be the stepmother and the choreographer, but UK labor laws wouldn't allow her to act in it, so she was just the choreographer. She's credited as Cheryl, which I guess she's credited as when she does choreography work. But yeah, she's also in the documentary. It was very weird seeing very young, or I mean, pre-season 1 TNG Gates McFadden. The Jim Henson Company spent a year creating the puppets for the film. Principal photography commenced on April 15th, 1985 at Elstree Studios in Boreham Wood, England, just outside of London. Many of the puppets required a handful of operators, so it was a complex shoot, taking 5 months to complete, with the park scene being shot in Buckinghamshire. And just the shots of Sarah running back home were filmed in the US in 3 towns upstate in New York.
The houses were definitely
the houses were, but every other shot was in the UK. Production wrapped on September 8th, 1985, so about 5 months later, with most of the VFX being in camera. One of the obvious exceptions, of course, was the CGI owl, which was the first use of a, air quotes, realistic CGI animal in a film.
An owl, huh? Yeah. Having a significant part in a fantasy movie. Interesting.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Interesting.
I wonder who stole that idea.
Drink.
Drink. Take a shot.
To be fair, that's like all fantasy, I think, right? I mean, isn't there an owl in Lady Hawk? Feels like there was, if I'm...
I think it's called, it's a hawk in Lady Hawk.
No, I think Lady Hawk is a character.
Not Lady Owl.
But there are owls, aren't there? Whatever, I don't care that much.
We'll ruin that movie another week.
She's a hawk and he's a wolf or something, right? I have not. That's a movie that I could ruin because I have not seen that in a very long time.
I want it to be so good, and it's not.
There's no way it's going to be good.
I know. I'm gonna.
It will happen too.
I'm gonna never-ending story myself on.
Was that Rutger Hauer? Was he? Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
and like a post Scarface, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure she's going to hold up.
Yeah, she still holds up. Yeah. She's fine wine.
Matthew Broderick's antics Will they hold up knowing that he like just killed somebody?
No, this is pre-murder.
Ooh.
Oh, it is
Manslaughter.
Lady Hawk's like 1984.
Manslaughter. The lawyers are listening.
Yeah.
Pre-manslaughter.
David Bowie recorded 5 songs for the film, with 2 versions of Underground appearing on the soundtrack. So 6 songs in all on the soundtrack for Bowie. Trevor Jones scored the film with a synthy score comprising half of the soundtrack as well. It cost $25 million. It was released on June 27th, 1986.
By the way, just to jump in, that's 70 million today.
Yeah.
So that is a significant chunk of change for a fantasy movie.
That's why they do CGI.
With basically
why they do
humans.
CGI because Ludo was like 34 million dollars.
Ludo was 75 pounds. That rig was 75 pounds, and they
I
worked
wanna
it down
know-
from 100.
I want to know what Ludo cost because that thing was impressive.
Yeah.
I love Ludo.
I know Ludo was my favorite of the characters, probably.
Yeah.
He's very
But
sweet.
that's where you're seeing all that money.
And he has the coolest
Ludo.
powers.
I guess I'm a little surprised we didn't get like a Ludo sacrifice scene because that was where we were heading. Given my like ingestion of fantasy movies in the 80s, like something that you loved the most was going to die.
Yeah.
It's either Ludo or Sir Didymus.
Yeah, I was okay on him. I was more of a Ludo. I'm a hardcore guy.
Well, I mean, you would have been okay with Sir Didymus dying.
Yes, if I'm getting a
Yeah.
full back tattoo, it's gonna be Ludo.
If you were a kid, you would have loved Sir Didymus. You would have fucking loved that little
Yeah.
guy.
Yes.
Yeah. My mileage varies as an adult, though.
I don't know. That whole scene
I
takes
love Sir
place.
Didymus.
I mean, how did Asshole Pond hold up for you guys to?
Yeah,
Oh,
see,
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So
Just-
many
actually,
assholes.
most of the
Ass
budget
noises.
was the sound effects for that scene.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And yeah, it wasn't even the. I mean, the sound effects, yes, were a big part of it, but like the belching assholes that
Yeah,
crested
that
the
would
top.
spout it up out of the. Yep.
Wow,
Pretty great.
you definitely don't want to fall in.
Yeah. So
Each
again,
one of those was handcrafted, you know.
you have handcrafted assholes.
Each one of those was 130,000 pounds.
To be fair, I think they're all pretty small, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's
Because
pretty
I'm
much
sure they were shooting pretty tight on a model.
on those assholes.
Yeah. Pretty tight on those assholes. Yeah. It's a tight, real tight brown eye shot. It cost $25 million. It was released June 27th, 1986, after 9 months in post, with Henson and George Lucas overseeing the edit. George Lucas was an EP on this. It opened at number 8 at the box office, behind Karate Kid Part 2. A bunch of other,
Also, a lot of belching assholes in Karate Kid Part 2,
Yes.
if I
Yeah.
remember.
That was
Yeah.
big in the 80s too.
Well, don't they go to Japan and doesn't he have the fight scene?
with
They have
Sato.
the fight
Yeah,
scene
Sato
with the
actually
little
turns,
drums.
opens his cheeks, and you
no,
see.
well, it's
yeah.
it's
That's
the
a
fight
special
scene
move.
in
Yeah.
the pedestal in the middle, right? And
Mhm.
it's like a moat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought there was some asshole belching back then. That'll be another rewatch.
So yeah, it ended up grossing just $12.7 million domestically, so getting about half of its budget returned domestically. It did do better internationally, and by January 1987, it had amassed a worldwide gross of over $34 million. It was mostly a flop on its release, but found its audience on home video.
I think it did better overseas because like the cast ended up going to see the movie. Like this is a massive cast.
Yeah.
And
It did very well in the UK.
They brought all their friends and they went down to the cinema and they
But
saw Labyrinth.
It's pretty rare at this time for an American made movie to do better overseas than it did in the US.
Yeah.
It's got 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, but a lot of the positive reviews are from well after the film's initial release, and the critical reaction upon its release was much more mixed. It has a 50% on Metacritic. Ebert thought it was a misfire, and Gene Siskel fucking hated it.
Well, I hate them.
He said putting a baby, and I'm paraphrasing here a little, but putting a baby in peril is one of the sleaziest gimmicks you can employ as a filmmaker.
Do you know what I think's a sleazier
Pearl
gimmick?
clutching.
When
Oh,
you
take money
like,
from the fucking Paramount asshole who wanted to sink
Mhm.
Ishtar.
yeah, exactly. That's sleazier.
Yeah.
Gene.
Gene and Ebert did that.
Wow, we're pissing on graves here, guys.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. We've got some big Siskel and Ebert conspiracy theories going on here.
We got some big bladders to piss on.
We've dug into this quite a bit for our Ishtar episode for our Patreon. Whatever, for Munch My Benson Movie Club. This was Jim Henson's last feature as a director. He died in 1990 from streptococcal toxic shock syndrome caused by Streptococcus pyogenes, which manifested as pneumonia and went untreated until it was too late. This happened just as he was negotiating the sale of the Jim Henson Company to Disney. Its cult status and popularity on VHS and later DVD led to at least 9 books, a computer game, a VR mini golf add-on where you can play holes set in the labyrinth, a pinball machine in 2023, a 3-issue comic book adaptation, a 4-volume manga sequel, 2 Labyrinth short stories released for Free Comic Book Day in 2012 and 2013, a handful more of short story collections that followed, a 12-issue comic prequel series, and there's a possible sequel to which Scott Derrickson is attached that, as of a couple months ago, October, seems to have stalled on account of how expensive it will be.
Please don't do that.
Hey, did you know about these books?
No. I don't know about any of this stuff. I want that pinball machine.
9 books. There's 9 Labyrinth books.
They're
like fan fiction?
Well, one's the companion piece or companion with the art that Brian Frow did. There are a bunch of different iterations of kids books. There's a picture book. Are there novelizations?
There's
a novelization. That's one of the 9. But yeah, there were 9 books that were sort of written earlier, and that's not including those short story collections that I was talking about.
Or the Jareth erotica.
Yeah. Well, that
all
has
to exist, right?
That's
absolutely.
Yeah, we can find some of that. Yeah, what's that fanfic site that I have to go look for it.
I think that's mostly restricted to being published in France.
It's too bad that wasn't your segment for this episode, Adam, because
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. I'll start looking. I'll start looking next time.
We can do that for the follow up after this.
Absolutely.
So moving on to our final few sort of short and sweet bits. Starting with Kay, our guest. What was your biggest gripe with the film this go around?
I think it has to be the weird relationship between Gareth and Sarah.
Yeah. It's
just
kind of gross.
It's really gross. It's weird.
Yep.
I think it's unnecessary to the story. So yeah, I think that's fine.
It could have been sidestepped a little bit without the masquerade scene. The masquerade, I think, it's so over your head, and she's the most precociously done up. She's trying to fit in with these adults who are bawdy and who are sneering at her, and then for them to actually engage.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a sex symbol that she's doing this with, a decades-long sex symbol.
Who does have a very problematic history of actually banging teenage girls throughout the fucking 60s and 70s.
And boys, probably.
Yeah, probably boys too, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think you definitely need that kind of fascination aspect between them, but I agree, that whole scene.
And I would get how it might make sense if it was just her with him. Or her towards him, but not reciprocated.
Right. Where he's literally offering his balls to her.
Yeah.
I can give you my balls.
Oh, that balls thing. I mean, that was
that's my biggest gripe.
That's some movie magic right there. I mean, that was a trained magician underneath David Bowie doing that.
Reaching up under his arms,
fondling his balls.
There's a lot of ball fondling.
Let's get the name exactly right.
Contact juggling.
Of who the guy did this. No, I'm just kidding. But
I have it.
But yeah, I mean, did you really get a sense?
Michael Motion.
Michael Motion.
Moschen.
He's the guy who called when you need to fondle your balls.
I always forget Michael Motion. God.
He's now known. This is now known as contact juggling.
Yeah.
Well, so what I want to know is did he launch, like, is he responsible for raver kids and juggalos doing the ball dance all these years later?
I hope so.
But
Promotion,
seriously,
baby.
like, where
He
else did
probably
it come
is,
from
yeah.
besides this?
No, I think it's this.
I think that's my biggest gripe with it, is that he created the fucking ball dance that these tweaker kids with giant pants would be like trying to tell you is cool at house parties a decade later, and then 3 decades later.
So fun fact, my ex-husband, I don't think it was because of this movie. There was a bunch of like YouTube videos about contact juggling, and he tried it for quite a while. It's pretty ridiculous.
That's gold right there.
Fantastic. I'm so glad we ended up there.
You're like, hey honey, watch this. I got hold on. No, wait, hold on, wait, hold on, wait. No, wait. Okay, hold on, wait. No, I'll get it. Hold on. Yeah, a lot of that.
Sean, what's your biggest gripe?
I mean, aside from Kay mentioning earlier of her dad coming in home and saying, "Are you home?" Which, of course, she's fucking home, Dad. That's the whole point of the movie. She had to stay home. Yeah, okay, small gripe there, but I just think the assumption that this is a world that we know that we're going to. There was a line, I think, probably near the end, where Sarah said, "I have to face him alone. It's how it's done."
Yeah.
I'm like,
why?
Where does it say that? And why? Like, what are you working on?
He has an army of goblins that we expect to be hanging out with him. They're not, but we expect them to be.
What do you mean? It's how it's done. You need to share this with your audience.
Right,
We knew nothing of this world. Yeah, I was like, so I was operating while watching this that like I had just missed like the 2-season-long TV show that set up this movie.
Yeah. That established all of the rules of the world.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm in the dark here, and I've just missed like the 4 Marvel series that are going to prepare me for Phase 5. Yeah, I was like, this with all the writers on this fucking movie, they couldn't have.
Oh, because there are more
cleared that
also.
up.
If you go to the IMDb trivia, there are like 4 more writers that I didn't even fucking name. I don't really trust IMDb trivia on shit like that, but
I mean, the plot is a problem, right?
Yeah.
The plot is
every 2 minutes they do something and then they're back at the beginning. They do something, they're back at the beginning.
Yeah, and we go from like 0 to 60 in like 10 minutes. Like we are in this fucking world, in this labyrinth. You know, like the whole like the logic of like, I can't remember how quite she said it, but like don't take anything for granted, or like you can't, like that's not the same as making an assumption.
Right.
Like, taking someone for granted or taking something for granted is not just assuming that like this will go on forever. Yeah, I'm just like crossing my arms and shaking my head at some of the like flimsy plot devices that they're using on this.
Yeah.
And I think they're just like, oh, fuck, kids won't pay attention to this because we have goblins and we have creatures. And yeah, I think that even as a 6-year-old, I probably would have a problem with that.
I definitely could have used more humans. It's hard for me to feel like there's much grounding anything. I don't know.
It's a fantasy world, Josh.
I know, but it's...
But even in like, you know, even in Princess Bride, you have a world of like rodents of unusual size and shrieking eels, and you still have a lot of humans.
And there's also like no explanation for like what this creature's thing is, what this other creature's thing is.
Right.
There's very little like sort of characterization that's going on amongst the you know, de facto Muppets. I don't know.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that nobody had a problem with the gropey rape tunnel that she.
Oh
does.
yeah.
Yeah.
She was absolutely sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
And probably like the most famous Peach up until Call Me by Your Name.
Oh,
Like that was disgusting. But yeah, like her falling into like the Japanese subway system of being groped. How do they get away with that?
80s.
And
man.
Kate, is that? I mean, like, is that? You're not checking under the bed for goblins, but are you going like? That's the unsettling part as a young girl, to just have hands groping you, and then yeah,
I think
pulling
I'm
out their
weird.
own eyes and
I was
making
more
faces.
fascinated with the faces they were making. And
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I wasn't thinking about being groped when I was 6, you know?
Yeah, I guess not.
Luckily.
I was.
We're not going to unpack that this week.
Do we need to pay you for some more?
Yeah, right.
Make it stop.
All right. So, how would we fix this film for today's audience? We'll start with Kay, our
Oh
guest.
God. I don't know.
If you don't have anything, we can come back to you.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm just going to keep touching on the same things. I agree. I think more humans, more explanation as to what the fuck's going on,
Mhm.
and getting rid of that, like the old man being into the teenage girl, and better music. We need better music. Come on,
It's crazy
Bowie.
that Bowie wrote
He
5
wrote
songs
the
for this.
songs, and
Yeah.
they're-
Even the score is grating too. Like
yeah,
the heavy synth wears me out.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Bowie's voice makes anything sound pretty good, but the songs are very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a little too topical, I think.
Yeah.
They're a little too applicable to this movie and what's going on, which
And it's
probably a
Kind
problem
of
for
feels
the
like
songs.
it kind of feels like he took about as much time writing those songs as I did preparing for this podcast.
and it's just like weird because, like, is it a musical? There are like 4 songs just kind of like thrown in randomly that
Yeah.
don't really
Yeah,
like
make
push
it a
the plot
musical,
forward
right?
at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's weird too. It's kind of like we got Bowie, so I guess we have songs.
Yeah. I think they're just viewing the soundtrack as another means by which to make money on the movie, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Sean or Adam, how would you fix
I
this?
mean, I think that if you'd have to do a major rewrite of the script, like there's elements that are very fun. Like you have these characters, you have this goblin, you have this girl trying to save her brother. That's all great. But the plot is real. It's a real drag, man, because they're not moving forward through anything.
Mhm.
And because of that, like it just feels like it just stops every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like the whole movie just stops. And that time that they spend stopping and restarting, they could be spending explaining what the fuck's going on with this world beyond just the fact that nothing is as it seems. I think the other way to fix it is have more of those worms in it, because I think the worms are the real stars of the show. And
She had just listened to The Worm, like originally. The movie would have been over a lot quicker.
Right.
right,
We're
exactly.
going straight to the castle.
Mhm.
I agree with Adam. I definitely think the writing is the flimsiest part of this. There's so much creativity. There's so much
Yeah.
visual
Uh-huh.
eye candy to this thing
It's beautiful.
and you had the budget to get a really great script together. You've obviously gone through a lot of writers to get to this point. But even with like, okay, the worst thing in this world, in the world of this girl, is to babysit her brother. She fucking hates life because she's got to do it. And guess what? Somebody fucking takes care of her problem. That
Mhm.
baby's fucking gone. And then she's like, no, I have to get him back, but doesn't really explain why. Yes, she's going to catch hell from her parents, but also like the whole thing about like, I will give you your dreams was very unclear.
Mhm.
What do you mean my dreams? Like, yes, she kind of wants to be an actor, I guess. And
I
we
thought she
see
just wanted
this.
to live in a fantasy realm.
Well,
and
we
she
see
got
this
that
like
too.
we see this craft project, right, of her
Mm.
like having done high school theater.
Mhm.
So
Well,
obviously,
I think that's
I think
that's her mom, but they
Yeah.
don't.
okay.
I don't know why she pulls her mom's picture down, because when
At
I
the
watched
end.
it a second time, she pulls her mom's
Yeah.
picture down, and I don't get that. Like, are we meant to believe that her mom is like off gallivanting around with some like former flame?
Yeah, what's the deal with
Because
real
she's
mom?
not dead, I
Yeah.
don't think. There's nothing
no
approaching an
explanation.
obit in
Yeah.
the little scrapbook.
No. So the clear transaction between I take your brother, I give you your dreams, and then she fights that the entirety of the movie. But yeah, like entering into this world of the Labyrinth, I think it needed to be later on in the movie. We needed to have a longer runway and just clearer intentions, better writing. And, I guess today you would probably CGI 90% of that. I would love to keep Ludo. I love practical stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe we have some little people like not goblified, but like actual, so we can see what they're doing with their faces.
Yeah. I could lose a lot of Hoggle. A
lot.
I could lose. Yeah. Hoggle was a little scary.
Now I'm just seeing my note at the end. He says, "Just let me rule you." Speaking of entering, just let me rule you, and you can have everything you want. And
which is
he
what
wants
though,
her to
right?
love him so he can become her slave.
Yeah.
That was so fucking like
weird
word salad.
Yeah.
It was like,
but also like so
do
groomy.
everything I say, and then I'll be your slave.
Yeah.
Was that translated into French and then Italian and then back to English? Because that's what it sounds like.
Right.
Everything was contradictory to what he had just said.
Yeah, there were 15 different writers for that line.
God,
I think, probably.
No, it was like, you know what it was? It was like a fold down where it was like, I will love you forever. And then they folded down and all you saw was like forever. And you had to go off of that. It was that was a rough scene. However,
Exquisite
Josh,
corpse.
have you fixed this movie yet?
Huh?
Have you fixed this movie?
I have not.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I would basically, I think the key problem for me is just that the world isn't built coherently.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the point of it, right? Is that anything could happen at the whim.
Sure, but like we don't ever understand the rules really, and they just say things to us randomly, and we're meant to take it at face value. But like, no one knows goblin lore.
But like, we go. Yeah. I mean, we've kind of sounded our favor for this movie a lot already, but like Princess Bride does a really good job of this. They really build this world. Even Willow, a couple years later, does a really
great
good job.
Yeah,
well,
building up.
I haven't seen it in a long time. It might not.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
but you know what the stakes are for every character. You know what everyone's intention is.
The stakes are very low throughout because there's just one goal, and it feels like.
Well, she falls into the oubliette, and then Hoggle gets her out. This happens. She meets these guys that play basketball with their heads, and Hoggle gets her out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there is some credit to be given to this movie for introducing the word oubliette to a young audience. Like, I don't think I would have ever come across the word oubliette.
Though Jareth and Bowie and Brian Henson pronounce it differently. Bowie says oubliette, and Brian Henson, who's voicing, I think he's voicing Hoggle.
I think
whoever's voicing Hoggle.
Yeah.
It says it oubliette, not oubliette.
Yeah, I've always heard it oubliette.
Yeah. But weird that no one was
nobody told
Jim was asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, you're like, you don't correct Bowie.
He was dying, Josh. Dying of the same shit that Max and I are dying from right now.
No, that was 5 years after this.
It takes a long time, Josh.
Yeah.
He didn't have walking pneumonia from 1984 to 1990.
Oh, I'm sorry, doctor. You know this for a fact?
Oh, exactly, Josh.
You have his chart in front of you?
I read about it. I looked into him. He was just sick for like a month leading up to his death.
That's what they want you to think.
Yeah. So saving graces, things that you take away from this that you really enjoyed.
Start with us. Start with you on what the saving graces.
What your favorite moment or element of the film was.
I don't know if I have one.
The whole thing.
God. Can we come back to me?
Yeah,
sure. I mean, for me, it's clearly when David Bowie is wearing that white number. It's like a feather sweater, and that's I think really the white tights that he's wearing in that scene really are balls forward. It's really draws it out. The shadows there's some chiaroscuro lighting going on there that really brings the bulge out. No, that outfit's great, and just generally the sets and the practical effects are fucking incredible.
Yeah, for me, it was that MC Escher scene. That couldn't have been done better. especially given the limitations of, cinema history.
In camera effects
this.
primarily.
Yeah. It was
I'm
so
sure they're
cool.
doing composite shots, but
it was so cool.
Yeah.
It felt like the most thought out aspect of the movie. And I'm also like a new Ludo fan. I didn't know this character, and I'm walking away like I will see him now. Probably now it's like learning a new word, right?
Mhm.
Like I will probably see Ludo in other things in culture when I hit fucking Comic-Con. I'll be like, Ludo!
Half bull, half orangutans are everywhere now, man.
they're so
This
hot
cute
now.
little lisp. So cute.
Yeah, he was the standout for me.
Adam.
Over, say, Jennifer Connelly's strange, like unbuttoned vest that she wears throughout this whole movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Josh,
I like-
what's your saving grace?
Did you have yours, Adam?
Oh yeah. My saving grace was the practical effects.
Oh,
And
that's right.
And
Yeah.
David Bowie's Tina Turner looks.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean, mine, I think, is the bulge.
Wow, back to
The
that.
bulge.
Or maybe the belching assholes in the
Oh.
in the eternal
Yeah.
realm of stink or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
So quite predictable for Josh.
I mean, maybe it's that eating a peach lands you in the dump and the inherent homophobia going on there.
I think I'm gonna go opposite of Adam. I loved the first shot we got of Bowie with like his full goth cape and all
yeah.
black. That was a good one.
Was
Yeah,
that
it's a
from
good
the
take.
owl?
Yeah, I think so.
Like
Yeah.
in the house.
yeah,
was that
when he
Yeah.
first took the baby and he's
the
all
most sort of
gothed out.
vampiric
Mhm.
entrance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did love, like, it still tugged at my heartstrings a little bit when she's, back at home and looking in the mirror, taking the stuff off, and they like kind of appear and they're like, should you need us? I'm just like,
Oh.
I need you now. She wasted no time.
right.
It wasn't even like a hard day at school. It was like,
And then it was just full on party in her room at midnight.
yeah.
But her parents are tired from having fucked.
Right,
all
yeah.
night, so-
Yeah, from
Yeah.
the hotel sesh.
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Um,
they hit a steak joint called Sirloins, and then they rolled in with like a bottle of wine apiece inside of them.
So before we say goodbye to the listeners at home, Kay, why don't you tell us where everyone can find you and your podcast?
Oh, we're super easy. We are FMWL Pod on all the places. I was about to say Twitter. Not there anymore.
X.
Not even, I mean, we're there, but we're not there.
Yeah.
Blue Sky, although I don't know what the Blue Sky link is. There's all kinds of extra letters and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
Threads.
bsky.social.
Yeah.
Dot bsky.social, but FML.
Dot Alta Vista.
Usually.
Yeah.
We'll put all of your social links in the show notes too. As I said in the pre-interview, I think yours is the only podcast that I've listened to every episode of. So I personally can't recommend Fuck My Work Life enough to our listeners. Thanks for exposing your childhood to the potential ruination of the Unkind Rewind, Kay.
No problem.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Kay,
having
this is I don't know if it would have come up without you. This is one off I can check off my list.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
I'm
seen
glad-
Labyrinth.
I'm glad we've introduced you to Labyrinth.
I've
Sean.
seen Labyrinth.
Oh yeah.
Technically speaking, thanks to Kay.
Is it a thanks though? Is it a thanks really?
We'll edit that out.
It's-
I have seen Labyrinth
There you go.
because
end.
of Kay.
There you go.
I'm gonna go dance magic dance as soon as we hang out. I know.
Mhm.
So I loved it. I hadn't revisited it in a long time, and it was really fun to watch it again. So thank you.
I had fun too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not perfect, but
Yeah,
No.
it was not some of the difficult watches that we've had.
no, yeah, some of those test episodes were brutal.
We don't want to talk about that. We've already done that.
Yeah.
There's no more that needs to be said on some of those.
But thanks again for joining us, Kay.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having me.
Kay.
Thanks, Kay.
You're welcome.
You've just listened to another installment of the Unkind Rewind podcast, mining and potentially ruining your childhood for content, one film at a time. Unkind Rewind is a Munchcast production and can be ingested wherever you listen to podcasts and on the Unkind Rewind YouTube channel. Music for this and every other episode of Unkind Rewind was composed by Divorcio Suave. Rate and review Unkind Rewind on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, Yelp, IMDb, Consumer Reports, Google Reviews, and TripAdvisor. Links to all of our social media accounts are in our show notes, but you'll find us as @UnkindRewindPod on nearly every social media platform that makes sense. If you had a question, concern, complaint, or positive feedback, you can email the podcast at unkindrewindpod@gmail.com, or you can join the lively Munchcast Discord to discuss this or any other episode of the Unkind Rewind with like-minded people. This dialogue with the pod may just make it into the next week's ep, so chat away. The Unkind Rewind Patreon will be coming soon, so start squirreling that pocket change away. Thank you for listening to another Unkind Rewind.